Hello, people. This is welcome
Names.
to Kharischangeworks. Guys, hope you are well. As you can see, I've got Lara. Sorry if I pointed in that direction because on my screen, Lara is on in that direction. So I've asked her to join in on this particular little video because I believe what I want to talk about will be better when we discuss it, getting 2 points of view rather than me just babble on. So what is this? I want to talk about the what goes around comes around principle. I want to talk about very briefly about the genesis, very important, the effect, and maybe even some feelings. I want to break it open a little bit. So, Lara, what goes around comes around. What's your thoughts?
I do believe in what goes around comes around, whether you call it sowing and reaping or karma or whatever. I do believe what you do and say comes back to you. I've seen it in my own life, in people's lives, where you just say a kind word or a smile down the road, and years later they come back to you and say, you don't realize, but you've made a huge difference in my life. And I go, sorry. You do not know how you affect people's lives on a daily basis. It's impossible. You think it might not be a huge, giving somebody $1 million or R1 million or something, but just a smile could make their day.
I totally agree. Now, here's an interesting thing. I was told today that someone is incredibly upset because their daughter is not showing, quote, enough respect to the mother. Now, I know that when you take a boomerang and you throw it,
Yes.
it returns back to sender because of the temperature of the boomerang, the angles of the blades, the everything. It's destined to come back. Now, because life is a boomerang, the seed that you sow through your mouth, the seeds that you sow through your thinking, the seeds that you sow through your actions, those seeds that you throw in your belief, these are all boomerangs, metaphorically speaking. Now, let's look at this little example that I was told about half an hour or so ago. Daughter is not showing enough respect. Now, I know it's a return back to sender issue.
Yes.
Now,
and I
tell
think
me your thoughts on that.
okay, I have 2 children. My daughter is 18, my son is 22. So I've learned, and I've worked a lot with youth. Children, up to the age of 7, you can mold them, you can have input into their lives. After that, you lose it because friends, teachers, other people start getting more influence than you. And if you've brought up kids to disrespect you or your spouse or whoever, and they've got away with it long enough, and you don't put those boundaries in place, when teenage years hit, it just gets worse. So you've got 7 years to plant those seeds, and if you don't plant them, you've had it. Because when they get their opinions and they get their little chip on their shoulders that they know everything, which is between 18 and 24, they can solve the world's problems, you've got a major problem. And it's all because you didn't do it right. And it's easy to say, oh, it's friends. No, it's your fault. You didn't do a good job as a parent. I'm sorry.
Totally agree. Now, this is the one thing I want the people who are going to view this video to understand. It is a return to sender.
Yes.
If you have the wrong attitude, if you've got the wrong approach, if you've got the wrong mindset, if you
Correct.
start off with the wrong footing as far as the boomerang effect is concerned,
Mhm.
initially it's okay because there's no consequence.
Mhm.
But when that thing starts to turn, as you say, you've got 7 years. But as soon as that thing starts to turn and it's now approaching you, you can't blame the boomerang. You can't blame the
Mhm.
wind. You can't
Correct.
blame the material that the boomerang is made from. You can't even blame the person who made the boomerang, who designed it originally hundreds of years ago. You've got to blame
Yep.
the thrower. Now,
Correct.
here's the thing, at least I think so, is when you start off by what you say, you start off by how you behave, you start off how you treat people, you start off how you don't treat people, what you don't say.
Mhm.
People focus so much on what we do. You swear, you lie, you steal, you cheat, but people, I think, choose not to focus on that what we don't do. When you don't stand up for what is right, if you don't defend the weak, if you don't do what is right, people shy away from that because that kind of points not just one finger at your own level of self-awareness. Now there's two, one of what you've done and one that you should have done, but you chose not to do it.
Yes.
Now, for the boomerang effect, I think this is also true. Now, when you talk about planting seeds, if you don't plant the seed, there's no ways that you can get a harvest or a tree or
Mhm.
whatever the case might be.
Correct.
But that's the consequence of your inaction.
Mhm.
If you plant weeds amongst the flowers, that is something that you have done. You chose to do that.
Mhm.
But then you and I both know from church-related stuff that there's a consequence for that also.
Yes.
And in life, there's also consequences, whether we like it or whether we don't. If I plant good seeds in things and in people, and I decide I'm going to do something that is, dare I say, thorny and weedy, if I can use the garden metaphor, I've thrown that boomerang, haven't I? It's
Yep.
gonna come back.
Correct.
All of a sudden, we are now looking at who the heck has done that? Why am I being treated like this? Why are people speaking to me? And then you hear people squeal. Can you
Yes.
remember Pastor Errol Hartley? In fact, I made a
Yes.
video about this, the toothpaste tube law.
Yes. Correct.
It's this, isn't it? And,
Mhm.
and goes and it's nice and there's no consequence and it starts to turn. What happens now? It's not on its way back. It's in the process of turning.
Mhm.
Tell me what you think and feel when you see the thing turning, and oh, hang on a second, it ain't going straight like I thought. It's bending and it's coming my way in a minute, but that minute might be 20 years time. Tell me what you think about that.
I think a lot of the time people forget what they've said and done because the return, as you say, is not always immediate. So when it does come, it seems like it's coming out of nowhere. But if you sit down and seriously do a pros and cons and take a look back at your relationship with that person, you will see why it's coming back at you. Like you said, there's a consequence to actions. You can lie, cheat, kill, whatever you like. Whatever you do, every decision you make has a consequence, whether it's good or bad.
Yes.
And you have to live with that consequence. You can't stand there and squeal and carry on and perform, oh, woe is me, and I don't understand why this is happening, and blah, 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 fish face. It's not going to work. The
Yes.
point is people need to stand up, fill up their big girl panties and actually deal with life. Because today, with COVID and that, people are so self-isolated that they don't know how to deal with life. They don't know how to deal with confrontation or consequences of their actions because they've been in their little boxes in their little homes and thinking that there is no consequences, but there is.
I totally agree.
Even more so.
Yes. Now, listen, Lara, I totally agree with you. When that thing starts to turn, all of a sudden now, it's like, I now have to take responsibility.
Correct.
That's what I did a year ago, 6 months ago, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that separates the aluminium from the steel, the coal
Correct.
from the diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the other thing. Let's talk about feelings and emotions. When you see this thing, it's on the bend and it's now returning back to you because it's a boomerang, it's coming back. Now, my personal thought is, man, listen, if I treated someone bad and the boomerang is on its way back, I'm not going to be the most happiest person in the world. I'm not going to be pleased and content and throw a party because I know that this thing is on its way back to me. And I have to face the music and learn how to dance to the music that will be played for me, not the music that I played when I actually threw the boomerang. And there's a different kind of dance, that one. People don't like it because now they stand naked in their own awareness and their own consciousness. They stand naked there because now it's like, oh, crumbs. I can't blame no one. I have to blame myself for being a bit of an idiot, not thinking, whatever the case might be. And then when they learn they can't dance to the music that is now being played for them, I reckon anger and disappointment and guilt and the old finger pointing, the blame game, you know, we both know knocks, you know, they
Yes. Yep.
Because it's as if that spotlight is now being shone on them.
Yeah.
But it's not them. It reveals their character. It reveals their nature. It exposes their heart, their spirit.
Correct.
It exposes it. And then people see
excuse me,
who they really, really are when they pay attention.
Yes.
And what I've noticed in life, I don't know if you've seen it too, but people then start falling by the wayside. Because then they realize, actually, I've been blamed for what they've done. I don't like that. So goodbye. And you see people's social circles shrink, not through choice, but through consequence. And that then again bubbles up in my mind another series of emotions such as shame and guilt. But this is not a guilt that kind of comforts. The guilt doesn't comfort at all, but it's like a second layer of guilt.
Yes.
Because now it's a matter of, I can't blame you. I can't blame the world. I can't blame my neighbor. I can't blame politics. I can't blame, no. That spotlight still shines and it still reveals. Like I just said to my young man today, Josh, as you know, the thing is we need to stand accountable, get rid of toxic relationships. Because he was talking to me about he's in a little group that's toxic because of one person. I said, get out of it. Don't absorb that cancer. Don't drink that acid, poison. Don't, get out.
Absolutely.
And because the boomerang effect, he has a choice. He can stay or not, but there's a boomerang. And, you know, folks, I want you to understand, it is not what you do. It is also what you don't do. Not what you say, but what you don't say.
Yes.
Folks, it's a seed. It's a boomerang that you throw. And the universe loads you up with billions of boomerangs. But let me tell you now, at some point, when those boomerangs start to turn and they are coming back at you, don't blame the wood. Don't blame the creator of the boomerang. Don't blame the wind. Don't blame nothing. It's you. My advice, and I'm sure Lara will have the same. My advice and my encouragement to you today is simply this. Before you say or do anything, seriously consider that what you're going to do or say. Balance that out with what you don't say, what you don't do. And if it is going to be positive and beneficial for the greater good, not only of yourself, but of society in general, chances are you're going to be better at what you do. The reward is going to be greater. People don't think about tomorrow because we are so self-absorbed and so egocentristic in everything that we do that I don't care about you now. I don't care about you next week. But I expect you to do the same to me. You better treat me right. You better speak to me right. You better be fair with me. That's their boomerang. Your boomerang is, I don't care about you. That's your boomerang. And when you get comments like I received today, my daughter doesn't show respect. It's very much a matter of you've thrown that boomerang of disrespect. You've shown it in your behavior. You've shown it in the way that you speak and how you treat people. You've shown it by what you accept and what you don't accept.
Yes.
To whoever that belongs to, that is your boomerang. And when that thing comes back, don't shout and scream because you're getting it back. If you plant an apple seed, you're going to get an apple tree. You can't plant an apple seed and expect a banana tree. Stupid.
Correct.
Make sure you plant a good seed.
Absolutely.
Plant a good seed. When you throw that boomerang, make sure that the attitude, the spirit, the motivation, everything that you do, that boomerang throwing with is positive, helpful, constructive. It's useful for you and society.
Absolutely.
Because when that comes back, you get the reward. Society gets the reward. Whether we believe in the Creator or whether you don't, that's irrelevant. But one day when we stand before Him, you will believe in the Creator. And then you get a secondary, far more important, far more worthwhile reward. Why? Because you've considered what you do. And that also takes into account that what you haven't or won't and will not do. It's a two-edged sword. It's one weapon with two cutting edges. We have to consider both sides. Yes, the do bit and the don't do bit. You can't separate the two.
Correct.
There's a consequence. So please, if you are in any industry, it doesn't matter what industry you are in, the fact that you interact with people tells me that you're in the people industry. There's boomerangs that you throw out every single day. But don't moan, don't squeal, don't cry when they come back and they hit you in the face and it hurts.
Yeah.
Because you threw it.
Correct.
That's all I want to say in this little video. Folks,
yes.
Everything is a boomerang. Everything. Everything's a seed. It's a seed. It's a seed. It grows. It will multiply. And like that boomerang, it's designed to come back. Consider this. The boomerang back in the day was a weapon used for killing small animals. Consider that. The Aboriginals knew how to throw the thing to hit the koala, hit the this, hit the kangaroo, hit the whatever. It knew how to throw the boomerang to hit the prey. It was designed to kill. Consider this. When you throw a boomerang with the wrong attitude, the wrong spirit, the wrong everything, guess what? You instantaneously become the prey because it's going to come back.
Yes, totally agree.
What you intend to hit someone else, believe me, it will miss. Because the universe, God, call it whatever you like, does not sleep. It records everything. God records everything. The universe records everything. It's going to come back and it's going to smack you right where it hurts the most. And that is your heart, the consequences. And trust me, getting out of that pain is hard work and it's humbling. But it takes a lot of effort. And we can save ourselves a ton of pain by adjusting a few little things here and by adjusting a few things there. And by goodness, let me tell you, when we adjust a lot over here, because we've adjusted here, what comes out here will result in what you receive back, not today, not tomorrow, maybe not even next year. There's a harvest for every seed that is planted, my friend. This is the message of this video.
Absolutely agree.
Okay, sorry, preacher mode, but hey, it is what it is, hey. Okay,
I just want to say, guys, I apologize if my internet is really bad. I've moved to the coast and it's in the middle of nowhere. So if it comes and goes, I do apologize. There's no ways I can control it. But in closing, I totally agree with Mark. I think we need to be very careful what we say and do. It will come back to you, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 20 years down the line, it will come back to you. Make no mistake. And then you can't say a word. So that's my 2 minutes worth. We'll chat to you soon. Bye for now.
Okay, folks, please, all the YouTube admin, the like, share, subscribe, please put comments in the comments box. Whether you use Facebook or whether you use Twitter, Instagram, or even this platform here on YouTube, MeWe, whatever, it makes no difference. Please put your comments on because this shows you who you are here. That's it. This is Mark and Lara from Kharischangeworks. We'll speak to you soon.